thing I wanted to give you the opportunity to, because I got some like positive, negative, good, bad comments on one of our clips that we had from the last podcast. I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to the haters. Let's go through a couple of these comments and see what you have to say in response to those. So I believe I saved these
on one condition. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Just make sure that they see the response. I don't want them to feel left out in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so I guess I will have to then transcribe these comments, your answers to the comments, and put them up on. I'm trying to find the folder I put these in. I'm gonna transcribe the answers and put them up in YouTube on the comment section. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me just get this up here. I don't remember what folder I put them in. I made like a specific separate folder. I got like tons of too many folders on my phone. Let's see here. There we go. Here we go. Okay. So here's one. This was more of a question. It says, what about someone like myself who has never had any muscle mass? I'm 65, 5'10", 145, and about 15% body fat. I do weights. I can handle 2 to 3 sets of 8 reps. I do a full body workout about every day and work out 5 to 6 days a week. I would not want to go heavy and tear/rip something and then be out for months recuperating. That's it.
I would say to that person that you are laboring under a number of misapprehensions, the most fundamental of which is that you've completely failed to understand how training is organized and the underlying structure of the strength recovery adaptation syndrome. So you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing if you, quote, never had any muscle mass, unquote. A person like you, who's obviously dedicated and certainly has exercise capacity, if you came to my gym, I would double, triple, or quadruple your strength in a matter of weeks without injuring you. I would get you to a body weight deadlift, 1.5 body weight deadlift. I'd get you to a body weight squat. I'd get you to a 1/2 or 3/4 body weight overhead press in months. And then you would definitely have muscle mass. And in the process, you would come to a deeper understanding of your own physiology and your capacity for adaptation. Next.
I'm literally going to like just text to speech that and put it as the reply to the comment. Perfect. Here's another one. I'm 76 and I lift 4 sets of 3 with as many reps as possible in the last set, usually 5 or 6 reps. Perhaps I should try more sets of fewer reps using more weight, less tonnage, but heavier 1s and 2s. That's it.
Perhaps you should, or perhaps you shouldn't. What is missing from that, I won't say question, it was more of a statement, an assertion, or an offering. What's missing from that is any underlying rationale or thought processes as to why he should change what he's currently doing, or why he's doing what he's currently doing. It actually doesn't sound like a half bad program, provided he's performing the exercises properly and he's got his recovery dialed in and he's progressing in a judicious and productive way, right? Except for the AMRAP reps at the end. We're actually not interested in reps to failure in our form of strength training. We don't find that particularly productive, and it is occasionally injurious, because performing a heavy squat to failure is just not a good idea for a 75-year-old lady or an 85-year-old man. That's just not a good idea. So I would invite this individual to investigate the barbell prescription, available at fine booksellers everywhere and on Amazon.com, and gain a deeper understanding of what it is that you're trying to do and why. Understand the underlying deep universal physiological principles that are at work for the proper prescription of an exercise medicine for healthy aging, and then go from there.
Now, is the barbell prescription available via an ebook form?
Yes, it's available in Kindle and paperback.
Is it available as an audiobook?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're working on it. You're working on it.
We're working on it.
Here's another one. It would be nice if you could define volume. So I'll just give you a little bit of context in this video clip. You were talking about how often older trainees are volume sensitive, intensity dependent, that whole paradigm. And the question was, it would be nice if you could define what volume is.
Sure. Just a few minutes on Professor Google would have clarified this. Most people agree on what volume is.
It's length times width times height.
In a sense, yes, it is a cubic factor, right? So if you were to map it onto a space, it would map onto a three-dimensional space. It is weight times reps times sets. Now, that's what I call work volume, and what a lot of practicing powerlifters and coaches call tonnage. Weight times reps times sets. I think of volume myself, and in the barbell prescription, we describe volume as reps times sets, the total number of reps performed. And what other people call tonnage, or other people call volume or work volume, I often call the volume intensity product. Right? So again, it's weight times reps times sets. I would call that work volume or volume intensity product or tonnage. And volume I set aside as a two-dimensional space for reps times sets. That's
Gotcha.
what I mean by volume.
Now, just as a quick kind of aside to that, would you say that there's the relationship between volume, kind of as the load gets heavier, is that essentially, like, if your sets times reps times weight at, a higher load is essentially you're less capable of doing a certain quantity than you are at a lower load. I don't know if I'm saying this properly, but like for example, like if you're doing, let's say 5 sets of 8 at like 50% of your max, would add up to be more volume than like 5 sets of 3 at like 90%, or like maybe not 90, like a higher percentage of your max. So, it would be more fatiguing to do the higher intensity one, even though it's technically less volume.
I don't know. It depends on the situation, depends on the athlete, depends on the exercise, and it depends on the load and the volume, right? So it depends, as is usually the answer in cases like this. But what we're really digging down into here is the misapprehension that a set of 20 at 10 pounds is more or less equivalent to a single at 200. Right?
Yeah.
Which is simply not the case. Or a set of 4 at 50 pounds is equivalent to a single at 200. Right? Or a set of 8 at 50 pounds is equivalent to a set of 2 at 200. Right? Mm-hmm. No. These are not similar experiences. They are not similar training stresses. Right? They do not promote exactly the same adaptation. So there is an idea out there that if I do 150 for 3 sets of 5, that's pretty much the same thing as being able to do a single at 350 or whatever, right? And that is simply not the case, right? And anybody who has any experience under the bar can tell you that it just never works out this way in clinical practice. Nobody ever got to a squat single of 315 pounds by lifting 30 pounds for sets of 10, right? Or 60 pounds for sets of 5. Nobody ever did that. That never, ever happens, right? So in addition to the simple mathematical idea that weight times reps times sets equals weight times reps times sets, if they're equivalent, right? Just because they're numerically equivalent doesn't make them physiologically equivalent. It does not. And we have never found that training low weight for high reps gets people as strong as, occasionally just moving heavy singles, doubles, and triples. That's what makes people strong. And when people are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right, doing sets of 8 or 3 sets of 5, 5 sets of 5, right, it becomes untenable at certain lows after a while. When people start to get a little, when a 75-year-old woman gets her way up to a 125-pound squat, and we do this at Gray Steel, right? You can't have her doing sets of 5 with 125 pounds. You can drop her down to 100 and have her do sets of 5, and you're not going to have her do sets of 8, and you're not going to have her do 5 sets of 5. So what usually happens at Gray Steel is we train people up to a heavy single, then we take off weight and we have them do a triple. We take off weight and have them do a couple of sets of 5, and that is their heavy day, right? And then maybe we do a couple of sets of 5 at very moderate weight on their light day. And then we do a heavy triple, a heavy-ish triple, and 2 sets of 5 on medium day, things like that. We avoid very high volume unless it's absolutely indicated and demonstrably well tolerated in older athletes, because high volume has an impact on older. We love its effect on older muscle. We love that. High volume in older athletes has the same effect on muscle that it does on younger athletes. You get swole, you get huge, you get cut, you get, right? It's great. Unfortunately, it has collateral effects on older tendon and older joints and older metabolism and older fatigue, right? That it doesn't in younger athletes. You have to be careful with it. And we have talked about this so many times. We've written so many articles about it. We've clarified it in the book. It's a tempest in a teapot that people like to pull out and say, well, those Gray Steel folks and Andy Baker and Jonathan Sullivan, they're against volume. No, we're not against volume. We're not the anti-volume camp. We're the optimal volume camp. We find the optimal volume to train the lifter in front of us and make progress. And then we stick with that until we can't anymore. So, this is a big question. We've talked about it before. I think most of it is just a red herring.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it, was kind of giving more context to volume outside of just sets times reps times weight. Awesome.